Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Today, the topic of my discussion is voice change without using tense. Most of the teachers teach this voice change by using tense. But some students are there, some learners are there, they face difficulty in learning the tense than in learning voice change. So today, I will try to clarify it without using tense. I hope this will be helpful for many students or many learners. So let's get started. And before learning voice, we need some basic idea or primary idea about three grammar items, that is subject, verb, and object. So what is subject? Subject that means about what or whom we talk about in the sentence. It can be noun, noun phrase, or a pronoun. And the most important thing, we find it at the very beginning of the sentence. It may be one word or more than one words, or it may be a pronoun. So let's see the examples. Water is liquid, you see. So just one word, and we may call it simple subject. The man, you see two words are there before the verb is. So the man, so two words are there. So this is also acting as subject. The color of his shirt, so one, two, three, four, five words are there. So when it is more than one verse, we call it noun phrase. And last sentence, you see, I'm fine, just a pronoun I. So I think your idea has been clear now. So subject means any noun or pronoun or a noun phrase which just comes before subject and which may be one word or more than one words. Verb, verb means action word or state word or condition. So a verb means what the subject does or what the subject is. So let's see the examples: play, sleep, eat, am, is, can, etc. So if I tell I'm a teacher, that means the am. So am here. This is not an action word. This is an state word, or I'm just getting idea about anyone's identity. So a verb may be two types: principal verb and auxiliary verb. So we read books. So read here is principal verb because there is no other verb and the sense is complete in itself. Auxiliary verb, that means helping verbs, so which help the principal verb in expressing the meaning, or it indicates tense also, in which time the action is going on. So today we'll learn about auxiliary verb because if you want to make changes from active voice to passive voice, you need some idea. And this is better if you can memorize all the auxiliary verbs, and it will help you in many in learning many grammar items and in voice change. So this is also needed. So auxiliary verbs may be of two types: primary auxiliary and modal auxiliary. So if you can't memorize, you just memorize the list of auxiliary verbs, that is am, is, are, was, were, have, has, had, do, does, did. So these are primary auxiliary. Then modal auxiliary: can, could, shall, should, would, may, might, must, need, dare, used to, would to. Now comes object. Object, that means noun or noun phrase or pronoun, one which a verb performs an action. So let's see the examples. Students learn their lessons properly. So object is their lessons. So many may ask, so how can we find out an object? So this is very simple and easy. So if you ask the verb with what or whom, and if you get answer of that, so that will be object. So students learn their lessons. So if you ask the verb learn, so what do the students learn? So the answer is their lessons. So their lessons is object here. See the next example. I know him very well. So if I ask the verb whom do you know, so the answer is him. So this is the object. So if you get the answer by asking the verb what or whom, the answer is object. And if you don't get the answer, so there is no object in the sentence. And I'm giving you one more additional idea, extra idea, or more idea, that is, so if you find the object, so the verbs which have this object, so these verbs are called transitive verb. And if there is no object, the verb is called intransitive verb. So these two are classification of verb also. So sometimes we find in the sentence more than one objects. So that time we'll have to use one object, and we'll have to keep the other one as it is without any change. And the other one which is not changed, that is called retained object. And so if two objects are found, one is called direct object. That means inanimate lifeless things, that is pen, poem, ball, rice, etc. So you see the example, he gave me a pen. A pen, lifeless thing, so this is direct object. Let's get idea about indirect object, that is animate, so which has life. So in most cases this is human beings, so boy, girl, man, women, etc. He gave me a pen. I have used the same example so that you can understand it very easily. So me here, so this is indirect object, and this is a human being. So another thing, so if you find two objects in the sentence, then it is always better to use indirect object as the subject. Now sometimes teachers may tell the three forms of verbs, so that is, we call it conjugation of verb, and we express it by v1, v2 and v3. So v1, that means present form or base form of the verb, so v2 past form, and v3 past participle form. So I have given you some conjugation of verbs, that is present, past and past participle form: go and gone, come, came, come, work, worked, worked, play, played, played. So you'll have to memorize this. Without memorizing, there is no other alternative way to learn this. Now let us come to the point. So voice is of two types. One is active voice and another is passive voice. So what is active voice? In the sentence where when subject is very active, emphasis is given on the subject, so then this is active voice. And passive voice is this when subject becomes less important, the thing or the matter becomes much more important, so that is passive voice. So in active voice we see subject plus verb plus object, and extension, maybe there are some other words are there, but you'll have to pick up subject, verb and object, and you'll have to change this. And the structure of passive voice is, first you'll have to use subject, then auxiliary verb, then past participle form of the verb, then by, plus objective form of the subject. So one thing you'll have to note, that is to make the sentence passive, so we make the subject into passive, subject becomes object, and object will be subject. You have to make this change. So after changing subject and object, so when you change subject and object, so we need some idea about pronoun form, because noun forms don't have any change. That means, so I have given you example. So Ali helps Shamim. So you see Ali and Shamim. So these two have pronoun form, these two have noun form. So these don't have any change. So Ali subject, it will be object as Ali. Shamim object, it will be used as subject at the very beginning without any change. But if you find the pronouns, so what will you do? How to change this? That is, if you find I will be me, we will be us, you, he, him. she, her, they, them. And in the same way, if in the object form me you find me, so this will be I. So this will be vice versa. If you find one, you'll have to change it in another form. Now we need idea about the use of auxiliary verb, and we'll have to understand the verb form so that we can change it very easily. So if you find the base form of the verb V1 form, that means play. Play is present form. So if you find play, you'll have to use either am or is or are, and all the time you'll have to use past participle form when you make changes from active voice to passive voice. So I have given you example for the first one. So if you find V1, so let's see the example. We play football. You see present form has been used. So base form. So you have to use. So you see subject is we, play is verb, and football this is object. So object will become subject. So football. Then you see with football you cannot write down am or you cannot write down are. You have to use is. So football is play past participle form is played. Then by plus us will be the objective form of we. So for the second one V2. So if you find the past form, so played or any other verb. So I have just taken example. So you'll have to use either was or were according to the subject, then past participle form. See the example. We played football. So football. So you see past form. So as it is singular, so you'll have to use was, then past participle form played, and by us. So if in the sentence it is if it is found am is are plus verb plus ing or was verb plus ing shall be will be verb plus ing. So you'll have to use any one of this group, that is from am is are any one will be used or was were. So this depends on the subject. So see the example. He is playing football. So you see uh, it has come from am is are group. So you'll have to use either is or am or are. So with football, so we'll have to use is. Am or are cannot be used because with I we use am, and with plural forms we use are. So where you'll have to use football, then is football is. So I have told you being, you'll have to use being. Then past participle form of play is played, then by him. So am is are was are shall be will be plus verb plus ing. That means we're talking about all the continuous tenses, either present continuous or past continuous or future continuous. So for the continuous tenses, we'll have to use being. So if you don't have any idea about continuous tense, you just memorize this. Then if you find have, has, or had, or shall have, will have, and past participle form, so you'll have to add been with this. That is have been or has been or had been or shall have been or will have been. So in this way you'll have to use. See the example. We have played football. So football will come first at the very beginning. Then as it is singular we are using has, then been, played by us. So this is all about tense, and if you find the modal auxiliary verbs, there is can, could, shall, should, will, would, may, might, must, used to, ought to. So you'll have to memorize these modal verbs, and if you find modal verbs, you'll have to use be verb with this. That is can will be, can be, could will be, could be, should will be, should be. So in this way you'll have to add be verb. But if you find shall, then either it will be shall or will. So that is, after the subject I or we use shall, but for other subjects we will have to use will. So now we'll see some examples so that you can do it practically. So I have given here 6 examples. Let's see the first example. I take tea. So you see base form has been used, so either you'll have to use am or is or are. So T is object, so T then is taken past participle form by plus me. You are helping me. So you see are plus verb plus ing. So that is either you have to use am, is, or are, any one of this, then being, and other part as usual. So I'm being helped by you. So mother has cooked rice. So you see the use of have or has, you'll have to use have or has plus been. So rice, so this is uncountable and this is counted as singular. So we'll have to use has, not have. For the plural subject, we use have. So it will be rice has been, past partial form is given already, cooked by mother. My sister wrote a letter. So my sister, this is subject, so this will be object. So wrote, this is a past form or second form of the verb is given, so we'll have to use was were, then past partial form. And a letter, so this is object, so this will become a subject. So a letter was written. As this is singular, we are using was. If it is plural, then we'll have to write down were. So a letter was written by my sister. See the example 5. Poppy will solve the problem. So you see modal auxiliary verb. So if you memorize, so this is very easy for you. You have to use be verb, add be verb with this, and the object is the problem. It will come first. The problem. So will be. The problem will be. Past partial form is solved. Then by Poppy. Only Allah can save us. So us. So subjective form is we. Then can will be can be. So we can be saved by only Allah. Only Allah is the subject. So where I have used it as object. So I hope you have get some idea about uh, changing voice from active to passive voice. So this is all about assertive sentences. In my other videos, I'll show you how to make changes from uh, assertive to interrogative, or how to change imperative sentences. So this is all for today. Wish you best of luck. Allah Hafiz.